Now, let me ask Mr. Ostendorf a couple of questions. Based on your, the Commission has held that used fuel can be safely stored on the sites where it's produced, correct?
Yes, sir. And
they've said it's safe whether it's in pools or in dry storage.
That's correct. And if I could, Senator, last year, actually in 2013, our staff did a study on the spent fuel pool, looking at resilience against earthquakes, looking at the experience in Japan, looking at what we understand about spent fuel pool structures in this country, and we determined that there is not a need from a safety standpoint to more quickly move fuel from spent fuel pools to the dry cask.
But you're not saying that utilities shouldn't move it when a repository.
No,
you're just saying, you've asked the question whether it's safe or not, that based on scientific standards, it's safe.
Yes, sir.
Now, you have a lot of experience with reactors, having served the Navy. We've had Navy reactors for what, 60 years?
Since 1954.
Yeah. How many deaths have we ever had as a result of the operation of a Navy reactor?
None.
How many deaths have we ever had in the United States as a result of the operation of a commercial reactor?
None.
How many people were hurt at 3 Mile Island, which is the most celebrated nuclear accident we've had?
None.
Yeah. Does any other form of energy production in the United States have that sort of safety record?
I can't speak to solar or wind, but I would say that with respect to oil, gas, coal, it's my understanding that nuclear has a better safety record.
Yeah, Golden Eagles don't like the safety record of windmills. I know that, but the fact is that no form of energy production in the world really has a safety record that exceeds the nuclear the production of nuclear power in the United States. And I think it's important that we emphasize that. And as far as finding a place to put the waste, I mean, the problem with that is not you, it's us. I mean, it's the politicians who are keeping Yucca Mountain shut, and it's the politicians who aren't opening new consolidated repositories that Senator Feinstein and I have proposed for the last 3 years. I mean, if Congress would act on that and the President would sign it, why, I'm sure that the first priority would be sites where plants are closed, such as those in California, and to move the stuff off there. So I think, you know, we ought to look in the mirror when the time comes about who. It's not the industry is saying to us they'd like to keep it there. They'd like to get rid of it. And I mean, the industry's collecting money, $36 billion from ratepayers, and it's being not used for the purpose it's being collected. We got electric bills all over the country that are too high. We've got concerns from senators like Senator Feinstein about used fuel in her state, but the obstacles here are the United States Congress and the President of the United States. That's us. So I think it's very important for us to.
It isn't you, and it isn't me.
No, but it's some people we know. But we're working on that. Now I have just a few more. I want to underscore that And let me go to Fukushima. Fukushima was a terrible problem from a very simple cause. Mr. Ostendorf, the problem at Fukushima was a very simple problem, was it not? I mean, power failed, and there was no water to cool the reactor.
Yes, sir.
That was it, right?
Caused by a very significant tsunami resulting from the earthquake.
But the only problem, what?
Caused by siting them so close together, you know, where they were sited.
But the bottom line is, the only problem you need to solve is you need water to cool the reactor, and you need the power to pump the water. And I was at Watts Bar 2, which is being opened in Tennessee, and they're taking action based upon the rules that you've provided. They've got a variety of ways to have power to pump the water in the event of almost anything. And I don't think there's a terrorist anywhere that could get into that building that they've got that houses those redundant steps. So based on what I've seen so far, at least at that site and what I've reviewed, you're taking steps to learn even from the Fukushima incident. Is that not, I mean, you're focused on trying to make sure that all of our sites, you've got power to pump the water to cool the reactors. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And 3 years ago, and Commissioner Svenike joined me in this when we were working together, because other commissioners have departed, but basically in early 2012, we approved orders to require mitigating strategies to deal exactly with the issues you're talking about. Additional cables to run power, additional pumps, portable diesel generators, portable pumps, other ways of providing makeup water.
Just so, now that I've wandered back to Tennessee a little bit, what's left to do before the Nuclear Regulatory Commission can approve the operating license in Watts Bar 2?
Senator, we expect a report from our staff that would come this spring, April, May timeframe. I think the Tennessee Valley Authority has projected a June fuel load date. We would need to make a decision on the staff's final recommendation with respect to the licensing.
But if the staff's final recommendation were positive, could the reactor start and power be generated during 2015?
That's possible. That depends on their testing program, their fuel loading and their testing program. Forgive me, Senator, I don't recall exactly what TVA's planning schedule is that, but I think it is in the toward the end of 2015.
Do you have sufficient resources at the commission to complete the licensing activities for Watts Bar 2 this year?
Yes, we do.
I have one last question. I used to be on another committee, which was the Energy and Public Works Committee. That was the last time I saw the whole commission at once. Two of you were there, Commissioner Ostendorf, Commissioner Svenike. It was a very unusual hearing because at the time, collegiality was not a word that was being used at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. There was an enormous lack of it. Let me ask the two of you, since you've been there for a while, what about collegiality at the Nuclear Commission? We were concerned in the Senate a few years ago that the absence of that was causing operational problems. What's it like today?
I would add, Senator, that we had a very challenging hearing before you and your colleagues in December of 2011. I would say that once we had a collegiality issue that was related to, from my personal view, to one individual who's no longer on the commission. When that new individual, when Allison McFarlane came in as chairman in July of 2012, those issues went away, and I'd say since that time period we've had an extraordinarily positive collegial relationship amongst us, and there's not any issues there at all.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Svenike, what do you think?
Well, I would note, much as we've seen a demonstration from the dais today, that there's collegiality of a body and then there's collegiality between individual members. I would say that even in some of the difficult periods on this commission, there has been tremendous one-on-one collegiality, and I think the proof of that is in the fact that the commission's work and the agency's work, I think, did not suffer, and our important mission was always paramount amongst the commission. And I think I credit also the agency staff for not being distracted by issues that were occurring at the agency level. At no time did I feel that our mission of protecting public health and safety was in any way compromised, but it is wonderful to have the colleagues that I have around me today. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I would say that when the Senate functions, which it occasionally does, it does so because of collegiality such as that exists between the Senator of California and me. It makes life a lot easier for everybody. And your functioning is essentially important to this country. I welcome you as chairman. Your background is in France. Really should provide you with a good perspective of how that country operates nuclear power and lessons we might learn from there. And just as one senator, I want to help create an environment in which you can succeed. I'd like to encourage you to proceed with your cumulative piling up, your review of the cumulatively piling up of regulations without any embarrassment, because it happens to every single agency, and there should be a disciplined approach toward doing that. I hope that you will take a look at the importance to this country of the of the license extensions for reactors that want to go from 60 to 80 years. That is the easiest, least expensive, most important way to get carbon-free electricity from carbon-free emissions, at least during this bridge period of time, while we decide what else we need to do. And I think it is appropriate that you think about reducing your budget since the large number of applications that might have been expected a few years ago is less than expected. I hope you'll continue to be open to the small reactor application when it comes. And I think Senator Feinstein, or I can speak for her on this, I know, I'm especially interested in the application from West Texas or from anywhere else like that, because since if you approve the application, that repository can go into operation and begin to receive used fuel from sites around the country. And if there were one or two of those, that could happen even before our pilot project passes and becomes law. If it does become law, which we hope it does, we hope you will help us implement it as rapidly as we can, because we both want nuclear waste properly stored in this country, as we know you do. Senator Feinstein, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I do not, except thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being so game and answering these questions, and I hope you accept it as a positive challenge. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. The hearing's adjourned.